folks, Steve the Hurricane here. It's Sunday night, which means it's time for another exciting episode of A Drink with the Hurricane. Cheers. Now for today's episode of A Drink with the Hurricane, I want to take a moment and answer a question from one of my followers who basically submitted this question to me just last night, as a matter of fact. And she writes, how does a non-medical, non-certified provider compete or gain leverage versus a certified provider? And then the second part of the question is, do they always have to play second fiddle? So, the first part is I want to just make sure everybody understands the difference between non-medical, non-certified, and then medical, whatever. I consider a non-medical equals private duty, which means that people are paying out of pocket, they are using credit cards, they sometimes have a Medicaid waiver, they have a long-term care insurance policy, but there's some kind of payer source. It's not their Medicare, Medicaid, it's not their regular payer source. And then the medical equals insurance. So people who have medical, this would be your home health providers, your VNAs of the world, the visiting nurse services, so on and so forth. Now, the reason why I like to do this differentiating is these two agencies, which we work with both, all right, they really don't compete with one another. When somebody has the medical, home health, and the insurance is paying for it, that's part of their benefit. Somebody goes to the hospital, they're going to need extra help. Medicare insurances are going to pay for X amount of hours a week. Usually it's between 6 to 8 hours a week of care. Nurse, therapist that comes out to the house giving that skilled care. The private duty wraps around this benefit and provides the extra custodial care or care with activities of daily living that this doesn't cover to further help keep someone home. So how did they compete with each other? They really don't compete with each other. As a matter of fact, I encourage the home health companies to work with the private duty and vice versa, because the home health companies, they're trying to reduce the readmissions. We all know the readmission rate is 19.3%, give or take, right? That's because of the home health. That's because they're doing what they're supposed to do, which keeps almost a little bit more than 80% of the people at home safely. That's great. That's what we want to happen. 4 out of 5 people stay home. However, to get that other person to be able to remain home safely, they're going to need more than what Medicare and insurance covers. That's where the private duty comes in. All right? The private duty can provide help every day, 4 or 5 hours, 24/7, live-in care, whatever's needed to help keep that person home, which will further drive this rate down to maybe 10%, 5%, which is much, much lower. If they have a lower readmission rate of this will basically make it so that they can go to the hospitals, go to the physicians, go to all the places that they get business from and get more because they have the lowest readmission rate. That's how they work hand in hand together. Now, the second part of the question is, do they play second fiddle? No, not necessarily, all right? Again, they should work together. They should go to the same places. A lot of the home health companies are starting to add private duty. My advice to you, if you own a home health company and you want to add a private duty arm, run it as a separate business. Do not have the marketing rep go out and represent both, because it sends a confusing message to people, and when people are confused, they don't refer you anything. Have a separate division, have separate people run it, have separate marketing reps, so on and so forth, and then run it separately under the same umbrella, the same company. Now, why is private duty so good? Well, we all know that Medicare, the insurance companies, they're cutting money left and right. Every week you hear Medicare cuts, budget cuts, Medicare cuts. Who do you think gets the cuts? Unfortunately, it's the people who are at the bottom of the barrel, the people who are caring for people in the home. The facilities are still getting their money, they're still getting paid, but the people who are actually providing care, keeping people home, get the least amount of the money. So they're the first people to get the cut. Now, if you're thinking about opening a business, I suggest opening a private pay. Why? Here's why. Say you run a business that has a national average of about $1 million a year, the profit margin after all expenses, net profit on this is around 20 to 25%, which means $200 to $250,000 is your profit margin. To be able to make this would be maintaining a private pay census of between 20 to 40 clients, which does not take a very large staff to run. It's not a very big operation, and yet you're making very good profits. On the flip side, to make this same profit, because Medicare takes so much, you're looking at between 5 to 10% profit margins. You're probably going to have to do $5-6 million a year in revenue, maintaining a census of 100 plus clients, which is going to take a much larger outfit, much larger operation, much more time and everything else to make the same profit. So it makes sense to have both go hand in hand, but really, this is why I'm a big component of the private duty world. Plus, you don't have to deal with a lot of the Medicare regulations, so on and so forth. So put them both together, work together. Nobody plays second fiddle because one hand works with the other. And by working together, you can really reduce those readmissions down to less than 10%. And that's the plan. Now, if you want more information on how to get business, more information on how to grow this and be able to have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million private pay organization, $10 million, $15 million, $20 million home health organization and beyond, I strongly suggest you sign up now for Hurricane Marketing Bootcamp. There's a few tickets left. I will teach you everything that you need to blow away the competition.